Hello and welcome to Girl Awakening YouTube. I'm Jo Hendy.
And I'm Amanda Parker. Enjoy this episode of Girl Awakening in all of its vulnerable sacredness.
And remember to subscribe and share.
Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Jo.
I'm trying to contain my excitement.
Yes, we have got electricity like in the room. It's
Yes.
literally one of those mornings where we're just
Buzzing.
so excited to bring you our guest today.
I'm going to jump right in and read a little bit about our beautiful guest today. So after some major challenges in her life, she started opening up to meditation. This was the beginning of her healing journey. She began to feel whole again, despite the outer circumstances that were still challenging. She chose to leave her business and found herself in a space of nothingness, asking herself, who am I now? Later, she learned that this is called the dark night of the soul. Welcome, Gayle Fuller, aka the Boujee Healer.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, we are so stoked to have you with us and
Yes.
join us. You know, really, you are on the edge of what's happening, and we are just so honored to have you in the space.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I'm so excited to be a part of this energy you guys have going. It's amazing.
Well, we have a few questions, but first I want to ask you, which is because I love the word bougie, and I have a couple of meanings around it, but the one I've got that I think maybe is what it means for you is bougie is an American slang word that originates from the hip hop culture. The word bougie means living larger than life or a luxurious life, yet at the same time being a humble person. It is basically used to describe a diva with a down-to-earth attitude. And my body's just going.
You nailed it. That was important to me when I was like, what is my energy? What is my signature frequency that I want to share with the world? So they're like, aha, that's her. I live in Los Angeles. And so there's a lot of people that haven't felt connected to even openings to spirituality because it looks a certain way to them, as far as the hippies and the festivals and the mountains and all of these things. It doesn't really resonate with them, right? So I'm in a place where people dress really cool, they look really cool, and a lot of the spiritual world has judged that in being materialistic, or you shouldn't want money, you shouldn't want all these fine things. It's really of the material matrix world. So to me, I've been really getting the message that it comes together. It's all part of the one, and we can have the experience however we wish to have the experience. There's no right or wrong, and we are supposed to live a nice life. Like we're meant to enjoy Earth, and we're meant to have an Earth experience that we enjoy having and living. So if we like certain things, or we want to have a beautiful, life full of traveling and dressing cool and looking cool and like just being yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. And so because of that authentic frequency, I've been able to attract a number of people that I would have never been open to this stuff before. So it's been perfect.
So beautiful.
That's such
Great
goals.
advice. Yeah. Amazing.
That's the whole point of it, getting to share your message. Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
We might just jump straight in, Gayle, and ask, how did your awakening begin?
Oh, wow. I love this question. Because mine was not some ease into it awakening. Mine, like many of us, was just rapid, accelerated, out of nowhere, smack in the face. Oh, you're awake, and like that was in 2017. So mine was very quick. Boom, boom. I went really hard, really fast. And I had this Kundalini awakening. I was not aware of myself physically having the Kundalini awakening, but I was shown it happening in the astral realm in my body. So when I woke up, all of a sudden I was awake. And this was literally like instant. And so it really threw me into that dark night of the soul really quickly, because I had already had a very hard path as a single mother with 4 children. And I left I left a situation that was no longer serving, and I was pretty much homeless with my children and had to work like 5 jobs. And so I got my feet back up from that, and I found somebody I love. He's a wonderful stepfather of my children, and I had a business, and I had all these things. And then all of a sudden, I was awake. I was a different person. And so it hit me really hard, where everything I felt connected to, all of a sudden I felt completely disconnected from.
That's big. Yeah, that's big, especially when you've worked so hard to hold it together for your family, to get back on your feet and then go, oh, wow, a whole new platform here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not only difficult on you as the person who's awakening, but it's also difficult on the loved ones around you who are like, who are you now? Like, why all of a sudden are you different? You know,
I was just about to say that, because not only you've got yourself to face, because you're now seeing yourself in a different light, but when you've got children there too, it's like it's kind of an awakening for them as well, because they're looking at you and going, who is this woman? Or, you know, where's my mom?
Yep, exactly. And then you want to talk about all these things where like, they're like, okay, mom, like, like enough about the aliens, we get it.
Stay there, like, you know, I know a lot of people get and I know it's written in your wording too, because there was a lot of people that actually thought you were going crazy, and at some point you actually questioned yourself. How did you bring yourself back continually, you know, back into that truth?
Yeah, that actually happened many times for me. And I talk to people on a regular basis that are friends of mine on this journey, their teachers, their guides. It also happens to them. Well, we'll call each other and be like, oh, is this really real?
Yeah.
Because it becomes, those are the moments where it becomes so overwhelming and you feel so very alone. You're wondering, like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
What has brought me back for me personally is I've had so many experiences in this reality, in the physical, such as galactic contact and ascended masters appearing in front of me and speaking with me in front of groups of people. Like, these things have happened to me in the physical realm where I never doubted again if I was crazy. And miracles have occurred because I chose to trust the unseen and trust the unknown, where I've never experienced miracles like this in my life. So those things are what kept me going and putting me back in my body, because many times when you feel that, am I crazy? Is any of this real? Like, you feel like you don't want to be here anymore because it becomes so overwhelming. And I know so many people that struggle with that. So trust is like the biggest thing that we're learning and mastering, because it's like trust in the unseen. And if you can trust the unseen like that, then you're passing the test. Like,
so, yeah, it's so powerful what you're saying. I know that for a lot of the women that we have on the podcast who have had either a channeling experience or a near-death experience or something outside of the physical, that it's all of a sudden it's showered them in this certainty, and there's just they know there's no shutting that door now. It's just like, no, I know who I am. And some of them have had to leave partners that they've been with for years because, you know, it just doesn't fit anymore. And, you know, some of them have had to, even with children, you know, they've had to just trust that everything is going to work out if they stay true. And that's the hardest part, but it's also the most rewarding path.
It is. I'm actually writing a book about all of this, and I'm actually writing the chapter right now about relationships, because a lot of relationships do split off. I have clients who split off with their partner and then their child left them too because they thought they were crazy. And there's a lot of those incredible tests that we get put through. And then there's people that don't leave their partners and they're staying with a partner that doesn't understand them or thinks they're crazy. Yeah. And so the different situations where it really can be a test of your faith and your trust in this. Like, these are the people closest to you. How much pressure are you going to be able to be under in this journey? And that's when you start to shine the most.
Yeah, the whole thing around going from carbon, you know, a diamond is carbon as well, just made under huge pressure. Couldn't be true, but I feel like it's taken on a whole new level of understanding with where, like what you said at the beginning around the change of guards and where we're in at the moment, some of these things that we've said for a little while, they're taking on a whole new meaning of understanding, and like, oh yeah, I really get what that means now.
Yeah, and it's getting super real now for many of us, where it's getting to this point right now that we're shifting at such an accelerated rate, where we're all feeling these feelings coming up, these emotions, this anger, everything that we've ever given our power away and allowed ourselves to be in these powerless situations. It's all coming up right now, because that's not going to be the case anymore. We're not going to be in this powerless state anymore. So that's why people are really feeling all of these things right now. And a lot of things are happening in their life to give them those experiences that they have to go through. And like, I call them chambers of lessons, that we all have to go through certain chambers of these lessons so that we can ascend to the next level. So we're all at this very, very turning point right now, this big turning point right now of mastering ourselves. So it's becoming very intense right now.
Oh, I don't know whether I like the word chamber. That feels like I'm going to be in there for a long time.
I love it. It makes me think of Egyptian energy, like the chambers and the pyramids and things like that. It's more like esoteric, yeah. Because the word container's been around a lot, and I value it, but for me it feels very constricting. Whereas the word chamber feels, quite different.
And move to the next chamber, move to the next chamber. Shift chambers,
Look, I'm excited, and I really just want to go, let's talk about that. But we're going to stick to our questions, just so our listeners get an understanding of your journey. And I know it will support them as well. So when did you first notice a shift in your thoughts about the world? So, I think you know what I mean there.
Yeah. I think what happened for me happens to many of us, where we wake up with so much realization all at once. We start to go down this black hole of conspiracy theory. They've been lying to us. They've been putting fluoride in the water. They're, Hollywood, all the movies, they're programming us. They're programming our children. So we go into this like, oh my God, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? And then you start annoying everybody around you to watch documentaries and like conspiracy theory talking and all this stuff. So that's kind of what happened to me too, where I shifted. We used to go out brunching on Sundays and get drunk at brunch and like come home and like relax and watch a movie. And all of a sudden I was like, I don't feel like doing that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. So everything shifted on how I saw the world and how we're treating ourselves and our bodies and what we're watching and what we're listening to. My music taste changed. Everything started to change, and it was just instant.
Wow. So you had a full download.
Yeah, really fast, but I never choose the easy path. So I knew that I set it up like that.
Wow. It's so wild, because I know we've had a lot of people come on that have had an experience, like either their body's broken down or something's happened for them to then, have that slow kind of awakening. I don't know whether we've had anyone on that's actually just been bang. And for you, that must have been really not only heavy on your psyche, but heavy on your body as well, because it's that energetic vibrational frequency change as well. How did you go with that?
So I was in the fitness industry, and I owned a cycling business, and I was teaching boxing classes, and I was also at the same time training to fight. Wow. So I was in the boxing gym every day, and then I would go teach a cycling class, and then I would go teach a boxing class, and then I would go lift at the gym. And I used to compete in those competitions for bodybuilding. And this whole lifestyle immediately changed for me. I stopped all of it. Wow. I said, my body needs to slow down. I left the fitness industry. I said, I don't want to be draining my energy like this. I've been like abusing my body, not really listening to it. I haven't even been connected to my body in a long time, because I just keep beating it up. So all of that shifted really quickly for me. And I started wanting to do more yoga, more like walking and hiking and nature stuff. So that all shifted for me too.
But I guess in a way it gave you a huge capacity to be able to embrace a big energy shift or input, but to recognize, the transition into the nourishing the nurturing of nature and those spaces and what it gives to you, the replenishment of what it gives to you. That's a beautiful thing to be able to embrace that and not kind of go, but this is who I am, this is my identity, not fight it.
Exactly. And for me, I realized what was happening is my feminine energy was balancing out, because I had been in a masculine energy for so long that I didn't understand that we can slow down and we can allow, we can flow and just listen to our body and listen to our intuition more. So that was a real balancing for my energy.
Oh, wow. That's huge. Can you just explain, just for our listeners too, the difference for you personally with your masculine energy that you just spoke about, that you, and then the feminine for you, the difference between the two and how,
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, being a single mom first was when my masculine energy was on overdrive, because I was like working 5 jobs. It was always about doing. It was always about, I need to make money and I need to do this and I need to take the kids here. And it was always doing and doing and doing. And it became such a doing energy that I became drained and burnt out. And I kept hitting a wall financially. Like I couldn't get the abundance I was looking for. And so when I learned how to slow down and balance and learn how to tune into my body and just go step by step, day by day, and allow the flow of things started to shift for me. I started to align with things I wanted to be doing more of instead of forcing everything to happen. And so it was balancing out my ability to flow. So the feminine energy is more about surrender, flow, allow, listen to your intuition. It's more tapping into that spiritual side of yourself, where the masculine side has been like, work hard, do this, you got to make more money, you got to make it happen, go hard, never rest, don't sleep, I don't need no sleep. That needed to balance out. And it happens to a lot of us.
I was just going to say that could be a podcast. You could do a whole podcast just on that alone, because I know there's a lot of our beautiful women mums out there that are living in that masculine world and don't even, or unaware that they are.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it creates such a resistance. And people ask, why am I so stuck? Why am I so blocked? I keep doing this. I keep doing healing sessions. Even when you're spiritual and you're spiritually tuned into all of this, they're doing too much. You know, why am I keep hitting a wall? I'm working with a shaman. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm meditating every day. I'm like, because you're doing too much.
Where's your downtime with a cup of tea?
I tell people all the time, unplug from the spiritual stuff and just be human, because that's spiritual in itself. And we've disconnected the two too much.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. That whole language around disconnect is just so loud, because just what you were saying, Joe, and what you've been explaining, Gayle, like there's so many things we've been disconnected from. So being still, like even like doing yoga and sitting in that, which, you know, a lot of people find hard to be in that stillness and allow what comes through in that space. It feels a bit uncomfortable initially, like in the meditation, people often find that really difficult to start that journey.
Yeah. And that will tell you kind of where you're at with yourself. If you have a hard time being still with yourself, you're still fighting yourself. So that's a good for people. And that's meditation actually sparked my awakening, and it helped me balance out my masculine and feminine. So meditation was huge for me with that.
What was it about the meditation? Were you getting shown things or talked to, or was it just you sitting in the stillness?
It was me sitting in the stillness. That's all it was. I didn't hear things. I didn't see things. It was just energetically shifting me to the point where it literally catalyzed my Kundalini awakening, and my hands would sting and burn. And I learned that I was a healer. And so I went and got trained in Reiki, and that opened up a whole new world for me.
Yeah. Wow. We will get into that. I'm excited to hear more about that. Just on the next question is, what kind of things have happened or are happening to you and for you now that you've kind of let go? You know, what kind of things are happening around you and for you?
So much. Wow. Like, it's amazing too, because I have let go and I've trusted so much, even with a partner who does think all of this is quite crazy. And so that's really a great teacher for me, a beautiful teacher of how to trust myself and my heart and my intuition, no matter what.
Wow.
So I now am co-founder of Mount Shasta Healing Retreats, where we have beautiful retreats and life-changing experiences. I'm working with people from all over the world online every day. I have programs and workshops, and I have all of these beautiful things going and connected with such incredible people, where before I was like so alone, so in my mind about it all. But because I let everything go and I just trusted, and I do this every single day where I'm just allowing the flow of things. Like I'm writing a book now, and we'll see where that takes us. I've just listened all the time, and I just recorded a contact meditation for Galactic Contact in a studio with an incredible producer here in Los Angeles. And we have incredible people involved with that. And I'm just, allowing these incredible things to be attracted to me. And it's a knowing that everything is in alignment. So because of that, I have all these incredible projects going on that are so in alignment with my divine mission and purpose. And to wake up every day and feel I'm in my mission, I'm in my purpose, is the best feeling ever. And that's because I let it go and I surrender.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I can feel so much fulfillment. The word keeps coming in, fulfilled, fulfilled, fulfilled. And yet you're doing probably less than you've ever done. And physically, and everything's just flowing. And I know I asked this to you off air before, but was there, like, I found you on Instagram. Where we find most people these days. Yeah. But was there a point where you just all of a sudden, was it like you woke up one day and all of a sudden you had 20, 30,000 followers, or was it a gradual thing, or was it just like bang, like your awakening, it just kind of happened like that?
So the way it happened for me is I had a following from the fitness industry, because I taught at places like Soul Cycle that are really well known, and I had quite a big following there. But I only had, I think I was like 16,000 people on my Instagram. And a lot of those people stopped following me when I started talking about aliens. So even though I knew that would happen, I gained an entirely new community. And so for me, it was no matter what happened that day, I committed to putting my energy on there. I committed every single day, once a day, to going on there and just being myself. Yeah. There was a time where I was trying too hard and that didn't get any traction. When I was like, I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to try to be anything other than myself here. I'm not going to try and look a certain way, do anything. That is when I started to build my true community. So it happened over the course of time. It took dedication, commitment. It wasn't some instant thing that happened for me.
Yeah. And you'd really feel that on your Instagram, that you feel like that connection, that personal connection.
Absolutely.
Yourself coming through. You really feel like you're in a connection with you.
Yeah, I was going to say, each time that I watch one of your videos, I feel like you're talking exactly just to me. Yeah. No one else. It's just to Joe. Joe, here's a message for you.
I love that too. And it's so good to hear, because I'm just channeling. So when you're channeling, I used to have people in my cycling classes say, dude, you were saying exactly what I needed to hear. Like, I was like, I don't even remember what I was saying. And I learned that was channeling. So I'm always just channeling. So it's so good to hear that. When I hear that, it just feels so good.
Yeah. So when you were talking about like that, the burning energy coming through your hand and being drawn to Reiki, and then burning, because Reiki in itself is like a channeling, isn't it? Like the energy comes through you. How was that experience for you when you learned? Yeah.
That was life-changing for me. That took me to a whole new level, because now I train other Reiki healers. When you go to certain levels, like you get an upgrade in your energy system because you're able to channel more energy through you. And because of that, you're dropping density. So you're dropping down the heaviness and you're raising your own frequency, and this creates a more magnetic structure for your energy to attract higher frequency things into your life. So not only is it like helping others, but you're totally like shifting yourself. And because of all the energy work I was doing every day, I opened up my third eye, my clairaudience, my clairvoyance, everything came online more and more to where I could hear the spirit world. I could see the spirit world. I was having experiences with beings coming into my sessions, and it just took off from there. So that was all because I started the Reiki healing.
Amazing.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So did it feel like, in the sense that, like, a huge activation, but did it also feel like you were coming home?
It did. And that's funny you say that, coming home, because there was a point where I was ascending in my abilities so fast I didn't understand them. And I had these beings coming into my sessions, and I had people coming to me for Reiki, but I was like activating their DNA. They were like waking up to a whole new level, and it was instant. And so I went to a friend of mine, Eagle Woman, who is an incredible ancient shaman here. And I said, look, I don't know what's going on. She said, come to a session with me. And she pulled up my soul grid, and she said, you had a past life in Jerusalem. Your name was Miriam in the times of Yeshua, and you were an incredible healer, and you're back here for unfinished business. So it did feel like I was coming back to myself.
Oh, that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Oh, isn't that just knowledge, that sharing of the soul journey creates so much, I'll say surety, but just that,
understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding of who you are.
Memory activation, right?
Yeah. I'm actually, Amanda's probably sick of me talking about it, but I'm watching The Chosen. Have you heard of The Chosen?
But I haven't watched it. No.
It's so beautiful. And I'm not Christian or any of that, but I've never really watched or read the Bible or any of those things. So it's really beautiful watching it from a place of I'm
teasing her and calling her a born again Christian. No disrespect.
Grew up as like a hardcore Christian too. So I mean, I gotta watch this.
Oh yeah, because it's so beautiful, and it's everything you're saying. It's just so resonating with me through this show, like just how Jesus walked the earth, creating miracles. And I'm thinking, if he can do it, that means we can all do it, and it's all about that, having faith and trust, and without the whole religious entrapment behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, that Yeshua was teaching us about ascension.
Yes.
How we can just like he did.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
So beautiful. Okay, so we're moving on to the next question. I feel like the questions are so irrelevant. I don't want to talk about other things. So have you decided to change anything? We know you've talked about a few different things, but maybe if we could get a little bit more specific, even around diet, or I know you talked about alcohol, but is there anything you've had to change?
A lot. My whole diet changed, but especially because I was a Reiki healer, and this was nothing that I tried to do. I've gone vegan before because I watched a documentary and I was like, I can't eat meat anymore. For like 6 months, and then I started eating meat again. But then when I became a healer, something was changing in me, where I literally finished a healing session and I went to eat some chicken and I almost threw it up. And my body was like, nope, you're not eating that anymore. And then, at first it was like beef, then it was chicken, and then it was eggs, and then it was fish. And all of a sudden I was vegan. Like everything felt too heavy for me vibrationally that was like dairy or meat or anything like that. And it wasn't any research I did, nothing. It was literally my body was telling me, you're not going to eat this anymore. And ever since that happened, I have my energy back, because I was getting very lethargic. I was feeling very foggy headed, mentally foggy. And that all lifted when I stopped eating the meat and the dairy. And for everyone, it's different. I have people ask me all the time, like, am I supposed to be vegan? Or really, it's just what your body is telling you need in that moment. So there's no like rules to this. So for me, I went vegan. I didn't drink any more alcohol. I didn't smoke any more cannabis, because I was at one point in my awakening smoking cannabis every night to try and ground myself, because I was so ungrounded. So yeah, I just stopped everything.
Yeah. Have you been down that path of any plant medicine or anything in those realms? Tried it, been there?
No, I've done like microdosing with mushrooms, but I've never done ayahuasca. I've never done combo. I've never done any of these things. I just never felt the need to. I do have a want to.
Yeah.
I definitely want to experience some of like the ayahuasca. I'm definitely curious in the experience, but I've been guided, especially because I work with Mount Shasta, which is a vortex energy, and I'm working with that energy all the time. The mountain itself, that energy has told me that I need to keep my vessel clear because I'm holding so much energy from the vortex. So that's kind of, I've been keeping my vessel clear from everything because of that.
Yeah, wow.
That's a beautiful honoring, isn't it?
That,
because,
yeah.
and again, that really deep listening to what's right for you, the resonance of where you sit in your purpose and your fulfilling of what your expression is.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, it's been nothing but expansive. It's been, I haven't needed anything to catalyze anything for me because I'm just trusting what my energy is doing.
Great. Because a lot of the time when we're experiencing these things, it's to look for answers or to find ourselves in a deeper way or to transition into a different space. So to, you know, I guess the crash course that you've had from like just like boom, and then the trust that you're experiencing. And did you say that you are a Christian? Is that what you used to?
I grew up in Tennessee in the Bible Belt, we call it. My whole family is like pastors and preachers. And when I was married, I was like a worship leader at a church. We were very Christian. Yeah. And then after all that happened and I had my awakening, I understood more of the big picture of what was happening. And that's when I was like, okay, this is the closest to God I've ever been in my whole life.
Yeah.
Realize that a lot of that has these rules and regulations and judgments and criticism and separations in it. That is such an illusion. And I just broke through that illusion and I felt the closest to God that I've ever been on my journey.
Yeah. So the pureness of it, isn't it? And the simplicity of it without all the little people.
Yeah. And now, you know, like even my mother, who's like, are you sure you're not dealing with demonic things with these aliens and all these, you know, spirits you talk to? And I'm like, no, like I explain things and she's like opening up to it. So, you know, it's like a trust thing. The right people will understand it if they need to.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I'm getting from you and that I've seen from you is that you have this beautiful, simple way of sharing what is going on or what's going on for you or what's going on energetically, that it's not complicated. And when you share from that space, it's just so like grounding, but also it's like a relieving feeling. You know, it's like, oh, it's not as complicated as I thought it was going to be, or it is.
Right. Because a lot of this can be very overwhelming and there's terms people use and, you know, it can seem very like in the quantum world, very complicated. But when you're just bringing it down into the body, which is like my role on the earth is like bringing it down into the body now, it makes it more relatable, understandable. You feel connected to it. And so that's really nice to hear. It's been received that way. And I hear that all the time because it's just like, hey, we're normal people. That's why I'm a Boujee Healer. Cause like, we're here to be human and like, let's be all the way human, you know?
Absolutely.
So you explained a little bit around, you know, we're going to talk a bit around Manchester because that's really pulling me in your retreats and things. But what did you notice happening around you when you started, you know, you really honored living in this space as this is your life every day, this is who you are, stepping into that? What did you notice happening around you?
On a personal level, my relationship had a lot of strain because I was living it more and louder. And it became everything I talked about and everything I thought about. So there was a big learning experience for me there where I felt like things were moving apart, but I had to come back into my body and integrate this more. So I felt a lot of that shifting for me in my personal life. And then when I integrated it back into the body and a better understanding of what was going on, then I even shifted more into being able to help more people. And I've noticed that the level of people that I help on different paths and parts of their journey is based on where I'm at. And so I'm just like a few steps ahead where I can reflect something back to them that I just learned recently. And it's always moving like that. So I've noticed as I'm shifting, as I'm more in my power, I'm working with people who are moving into that space, moving into their power, into that energy.
Oh, I so love that you've just said that because it's like I get to that no one gets left behind. And that when you're moving into that space of pure love, is that you are then holding a space where it doesn't matter what's happening in it, you're available and able to, you know, move in with those people, no matter who they are and what they're going through.
'Cause I see each one of us as a guide. I see every single one of us as leaders of the new earth. And so it doesn't matter if it's like a person at the store or a person, that you're just bumping into, like you're guiding somebody based on what you've just experienced, and you're activating their DNA and you're helping them shift. So we're all just moving through these things so we can help the next wave of people.
It's so beautiful, because then again, I can feel where that creates more expansion. If it's anything but love, we're shutting ourselves off and down. When we move into that beautiful space of allowing and being there for all, all it's doing is creating more expansion for ourselves and others.
It's so beautifully put. Exactly. Can agree more.
Yeah. And that connection spark what you said, how meditation sparked your awakening, that pure love creating, sparking more connection.
Yeah, it does. And I've had a lot of people have their awakening through plant medicine, or meditation also, or just even getting sick in their body or having an accident or almost dying. Everyone has their awakening spark in a different way, and it's all based on what we came here to learn. So it's beautiful to see how everybody's learning.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So I love it.
The alignment with everything that we've been talking around this week, it's just incredible. Like, thank you.
So it's so beautiful. I just feel like it's sitting with you feels like it's just so easy.
It's like when you realize you take down all the facades, all the masks, all the trying to be a certain way, and you're just yourself, you feel connected because we're all just part of each other. That's when it feels home. That's when it feels like, oh, this is family.
Yes. Beautiful.
Just on you're gonna come back to your socials, like your latest, I'm not sure if it's the last time, but recent reel that you put out where you talk around the root chakra and how it's about connecting into that and embracing your yourself and disconnecting from the collective energy. I found that so powerful, because we don't often have an understanding of ourselves, being empathetic, how much we plug into that collective energy. I mean, there's the whole mainstream media stuff that calls us in, but just on an energy level, how we can be so plugged in and not aware of it. It was really a very conscious drop in of what you get in that.
So overwhelmed, especially when there's a lot going on in the world like there is right now. And that's why, my guides have always said, remind yourself to keep tuning into your own energy, keep raising your frequency as high as possible. And there's always going to be things in the world that are triggering us and our vibration. And we forget for a second that where our mind goes and our energy goes, that's creating more of that. So we just have to bring it back into the root, back into the body, and remember that, okay, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I reacting? I'm in charge of this creation right now. So we're just remembering that we're the creators even more now.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful definition of that self-empowerment, and taking back the power.
Exactly, because most of our life we have felt powerless in some form, and whether it's around money, whether it's around where we are in our life and our kids and our partners and whatever it is, we felt powerless. But now we're becoming empowered to where the spine represents a support system, the root represents your stability, your balance, your foundation, and we're building that foundation energetically within ourselves to where it's going to show up in the physical more in our reality, based no matter what's happening around us, what everybody else is doing. We have a strong foundation. We have a strong root. We're growing our branches out now.
Yeah. Let's just sit with that for a moment. That's so beautiful.
I love trees.
Yeah. I literally just picturing myself as a tree.
I love that. Okay, we're going to keep going. So we want to chat more about just other stuff.
Yes.
This. What do you do now to support yourself for staying in the moment?
That's a big one for me. I have unplugged from a lot of what I did for my spiritual practices to allow myself to be a mom more, to allow myself to go outside and just hang out with my dog more. And I've allowed myself to be more human, because what was happening, I was doing a lot of spiritual practices every single day. I was tuning into the energy every day, and I was forgetting to do these human things. And so I was getting really ungrounded. And so what I've done is I've allowed myself to like just pull the plug on reading all the spiritual books, pull the plug on doing the cards and whatever I was doing, and just play with my kids, hang out, watch a movie, like just go do something human more. And that is like a daily practice for me now that I'm really implementing, that's allowing me to be really present. And my relationships are flourishing because of it. My connection with my kids is really connecting deeper now. And so it's been beautiful.
It seems to be a real thread. That seems to be a real thread. It's like the complete opposite to what has been, being spiritual. It's like, no, we need to be more human, and then we will be more connected. It's like feet on the ground, looking after those around us, and still doing and being all of those beautiful true things to ourselves that you've talked about so beautifully through the podcast. Yeah. But it's completely gone back to the beginning, hasn't it? Really,
being naturally spiritual in your actions as opposed to kind of studying it, or looking for guidance in it. Yeah.
Teachings really resonated with me on that, and it kind of got me to this understanding was Mary Magdalene, which is one of the books taken out of the Bible, because these teachings were very powerful for the divine feminine, which is the energy we're talking about. We're getting into our feminine, where we're becoming more present. We're becoming more harmonious and balanced with ourselves, being here in the present and surrendering. So her teachings were, Jesus was teaching about ascension, right? And Mary was talking about descension of the good, meaning God, into the heart.
Oh.
So bringing God into your heart, bringing God into your body, being human. So that's the phase that I've been in. That's been very, very powerful, because most of us get to that place when we have our Kundalini raise all the way up to our pineal gland. We get super spiritual and we want to do all these spiritual things. And then there's a time where we're like, okay, we got to bring it back down into the body, back down into the human experience. And that's when doing human things is so powerful. Just doing regular everyday things.
Yeah. The mindfully doing it, being present in them, as opposed to, which we so often get caught out with, I'll just squeeze this in, I'm still thinking about work, but I'm doing it.
I'm having this visual of that. Is it the Taurian field? Is that what it's called? Where it's like, this thing that keeps, it's like, it's everything in motion and in flow. It's like, being all of it at once, just allowing it all to be where it needs to be at the right time.
Exactly. And that's kind of where we're at. And it gets overwhelming because we're tuning into our multidimensionality, where we're not just this one-dimensional being. Now we're tapping into the other dimensions that we're experiencing, and it becomes overwhelming. So we have to really then bring ourselves into the human body more, get in our body more. Working out is really good for that. Walking, hiking, getting in nature is really, really good for that, because now we're aware of ourselves in multiple dimensions and other realities. And eventually we're going to be aware of all of them at the same time happening. So that's going to be really crazy on the brain. So these are the times where we got to get in the body.
When we don't want to, when we're having fun somewhere else.
She's been spending a lot of time trying to get out of your body.
Yeah, see, everyone's so busy trying to astral project.
Oh yeah, baby.
We got to get in.
When you need your feet on the ground, your head can be in the cosmos, but and heart in the middle.
So true. This is a beautiful way.
Sorry, say
again.
We get to go to the next level mentally, spiritually.
Yes.
Instead of connecting it.
Well, I guess that means what you're saying is like a wholeness, like instead of fragmented, we get to go whole. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we separate it. We separate the experiences when we should just be together in the experience. Like you're saying, it's all part of one energy all the time.
Yeah. This is so good.
My head is popping.
My head's been popping the whole time. Okay, so this next question that I'm going to ask you, I just want you to go wherever you want to go with it. I'd love for you to talk in depth with when I ask the question, you know what I'm talking about. With the way that you see the world, and you know, we'll just let you fly away with whatever you want to talk about, because I'm loving every part of it. But how do you see the world now, and what do you see next for us?
Wow. Oh man. Okay. I love this question. So where I see us now, and this is, I don't connect with people that are, it's not that I don't connect with people. I don't connect with the narrative that is focusing on the doom and gloom of what's happening in the collective, what's going to happen with the financial system, this and that. I'm very aware of it. It's important to be aware of what's happening, but not focus on it so much that every day you're focusing on these energies and you're creating more of it. So I do see that that is happening in the collective. I know that we're going to have a breakdown of systems in order to create a new one. And I feel like what's happening is with our ascension, with the people that are shifting with this energy and having their awakening and just choosing to drop more and more density, we're going to experience things differently than those that are choosing not to hold that energy. So we're going to experience ourselves moving more into alignment with mission, with purpose. People are going to step into I've seen everyone step into their mission more than ever now. People not wanting to work their 3D jobs anymore, and they want to go into their spiritual mission. I'm seeing everybody shift into their purpose at a really accelerated rate right now. So I feel like everyone's getting in their positions. Everyone's like getting ready to go for this like mass awakening. I do know and foresee within probably 2026, 2027, there's like a 90% chance I'm feeling of a very massive contact experience with extraterrestrials that is going to change everything. It's going to change religion. It's going to change the way everybody thinks and feels about everything that's going on. That's going to be a catalyst for a lot of change right there. So the reason that I've chosen to work with Mount Shasta is I've got offers across the world to open wellness centers and all these things, but I've been choosing to stay with the energy of Mount Shasta and keep working with that energy because of these contact experiences that I've been having and the messages and the knowledge that's being taught to me. So a lot of this information is why I teach about this, because we are having what's called the new Lemuria activate this Lemurian consciousness, which I've been taught a lot about and continuing to work with the Lemurian Council in teaching more about the Lemurian consciousness. So that's coming back now. It's activating Atlantean timelines. The Lemurian timelines are activating the codes within us now that we have access to more of our abilities. Our DNA is shifting. So we're coming back into our power now in a way we're going to be experiencing more abundance. Everyone's worried about the financial system collapsing, but there's going to be a new system for us that's already accessible. There's going to be centers for us to be able to access that are pure of heart and, you know, help humanity. So there's a lot going on that we're going to be fine. And so anyone who's worried about like all the collapsing in the world, there's also rebuilding already going on behind the scenes that's going to be ready. And we're always protected divinely. There's a whole plan in store for all of us. And so what I feel is everybody's getting this urge to step into their power because they're going to be very much needed in the times to come, in the next year or two, when people are having massive awakenings, because we have the sun that's spewing out these solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and light is information. So all this information is coming in from our galactic core, and it's activating the memories in our DNA, and our abilities are coming online. We're starting to crystallize our light bodies. Our physical bodies will change so it can hold more energy, because the earth is being taken into a higher frequency and resonance. So anything that's no longer resonating with this light frequency is going to dissipate. It's going to dissolve. It's going to collapse. And we're going to see all of this happen very rapidly now. The veil is thinning more. So we're going to start seeing a lot about the truth in Hollywood and politics, financial system, everything is going to come up in the next year or two, especially. And this is when we're going to have a lot of change. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of collapsing, but a lot of really incredible, empowering things happening for us where we're all in our divine mission and role. Everyone's going to understand why they're here. Everyone's going to be really connected to their soul family. And just we're getting in positions right now for some really massive events occurring.
Wow, wow, wow. Like,
yeah.
I would say, fuck yes.
That's right. Yes. But then I think I'm projecting in my mind, like 2032, around that time, we're going to be merging as a galactic society with free energy, with things like med beds and curing illnesses and all of this information and knowledge that has been hidden from us and controlled and taken away from us, where we could have been super advanced civilization by now, like we used to be. But it's all coming back in such a way that's going to change everything. It's going to change everything. So this is all something to very much look forward to. And there will be trying times in the coming days and months and this year. It's going to be a lot on people. So we just have to remember what's coming after that is this has to happen in order for us to get there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
So
it's about not being distracted by outside influence or any of that, and it's just staying, I think staying in your own lane is what we keep getting, you know, it's staying true to you, staying in your own lane. Don't be distracted by what's going on out there.
Yeah, and discernment is the biggest thing, because there could be a Project Bluebeam where they are projecting some kind of, holographic thing.
I've heard about this. Yes, I was going to say that before.
Yeah, that's a possible timeline, and there could be many possible timelines where they're going to project holographic images to make people afraid, and all of these things can happen. So we need to remember, okay, discern, we'll feel into this. Does this feel like it's resonating with you? And at some point, we aren't going to have the internet for a minute, and we're not going to have any way to communicate with each other at some point. So there's going to be telepathy coming online, and see, there's always some like brightness, and the reason of the darkness happening is because we're balancing now, we're harmonizing. So there's always a reason for all of these things that need to happen. So it's just like kind of a calm trust I have because of the things that I've been shown, and the dimensions that I've been, and the things that I've been receiving knowledge wise. Is there's so many incredible things coming, but we're going to just have to experience some turbulence on the way there and learn how to really trust ourselves and trust the creator.
Wow. And it's that simplicity again, that of just being in that space and really, I mean, it's just, I think it's one of the most underrated words, the word trust and the word faith.
Yeah.
Those two words together, or I guess trust, faith, and love. Being free brings us to what is possible, as you've just shared. Everything that you've been shown and what you've been shared brings us into immediate resonance with that being so possible.
I think that's probably one of the most powerful things to talk about, because especially when people are on their awakening journey, they do feel very, very alone and very isolated, even if they are in a relationship or, they have friends and communities, it can feel very alone. And so if you have that kind of trust and that kind of faith to keep going, even though you feel like you might be crazy or people are calling you crazy or you don't know what's going on, you have no answers, you don't know why you're being directed, but you're just following it. When you have that kind of trust, like you have a big mission, you have a big purpose, and that's why you're going in this direction. And that is so many incredible, massive things are going to happen for you because of that trust, because of that faith. And I've already been like confirmed over and over with this. Of like, when you trust like this, you're going to get initiated into a whole new level where you're able to receive more, where you're able to experience more of love, more freedom, more of this connected consciousness that you've been searching for yourself, your heart, your love connection. So the more you trust yourself, the more you have faith in the unknown and the void that you're in, it gets so much more expansive every time.
Wow. I'm just thinking of when I came in this morning, beautiful. I said to Amanda, I have a big question to ask.
Yeah.
And I think it's really poignant in where people are sitting at the moment around worthiness.
Yeah.
And so the question that I wanted to ask was, we notice the energy in the world around of self-worth, the feeling of value for each individual. It goes up and down. So when you're in that down part where, I don't know, and to me it probably seems, for me, thinking of you, there'd be small moments of unworthiness, But when you are in those moments of feeling unworthy, what do you say to yourself, or how do you get yourself out of there? And because we know that you now have purpose and there is a reason for you being here on this planet. What do you say to our listeners that when they are in those moments
still feel disconnected?
I would say the real truth of what I would say, because I work with people on this on a daily basis, is to just be in those feelings. You cannot change the way you feel. It's not a switch that you can turn on and feel happy, go. You know, we're not doing that anymore. That's a quick fix. That's a spiritual bypass. We can't go meditate this away. Be in those feelings, feel unworthy, and figure out where that's coming from. Go to the root of where you're feeling unworthy and what makes you feel like you're not as powerful as other people. Or I think the biggest unworthiness when I work with people is, who am I to be a spiritual guide? Who am I to be a spiritual healer or leader? Like, I can't do what you do. And that's this unworthiness that comes up. And like, who am I? Who am I to be like that? And that's just such a distortion and illusion. And most of it is coming from some deep programming from childhood, from parents, from relationship, from the collective consciousness and how we were taught. So there's a lot of this unprogramming that happens when you feel unworthy like that. So really sitting with it and going deeper into it and crying about it and figuring out where is this unworthiness coming from. And you teach yourself in those moments and you find yourself and you master yourself and why you're feeling unworthy. And then it starts to alchemize into an understanding, an integration of the wisdom that you're really sitting with. And that's the I think why meditation has gotten me to such a point of mastery is because when I feel those feelings, when I feel like, okay, who am I to be on TV talking about this stuff soon, which I will be.
Yes, you go, girl.
I'm meditating and I'm feeling these feelings. Okay. And I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even know what's coming through, but something's happening. And then I go to sleep and I integrate it and I wake up and I have this knowing in my body. Yeah. So it's just sitting with those feelings and just being with those feelings. And I think the most powerful thing is to be okay with feeling unworthy and not think that it's wrong for you to feel unworthy, because it's an important thing to feel.
Yeah, such a beautiful answer, because I feel like that's probably one of the most and biggest distractions for most people at the moment, is swinging in and out of that feeling unworthy, you know. And then, you know, we have so many outside influences to, how would I say, influence that, like as in Instagram, support it and all of those things, you know. It's like there's a whole world out there that's telling us that there's someone better than you. And it seems a very basic level thing to talk about, but it's actually quite powerful and quite intense.
Right. It is. And it has happened because, like, what we were talking about is like a change of guides, a change of guards. And because a lot of the guides and guards and leaders before have a very egotistical way of doing things, where it's all about them and it's all about me, and look at me and I know everything and I know everything I say is like, you know, the scripture. And so that's created this like pedestal thing, you know. And I've had clients come up and do the pedestal thing. I said, don't put me on the pedestal. I don't know everything. Like, I'm just reflecting things to you. And so that, I'm so used to putting people on a pedestal because there's been this like, keep coming to me for all the answers and you'll be okay. Like, you need to take my 20-week program and then you need to take my 10-week program and just keep working with me and you'll be fine. So there's been this whole like thing that's created a pedestal thing too, for people to look up to other spiritual guides and leaders. And it shouldn't feel like that. It should feel like, I'm seeing what you're realizing. What I'm telling people too is, when you appreciate someone's teachings, when you connect with them, when you see them as powerful, it's because you're seeing a part of yourself in them that wants to be activated. And so if you have that understanding, I'm seeing myself in them, and this is the part that wants to be activated, and I'm going to activate it. That changes everything.
Oh, that's so beautifully said. So beautifully said. And the other thing that that we talk a lot about as well is that, you know, we are each on an individual journey, and what you're here and what Amanda's here and what I'm here to teach or share is completely different, but completely the same. Right. It's all like in the same realm of consciousness, and we're all,
it's like a telepathic understanding that we all have. We all have this understanding of the same thing, and we're just experiencing it differently and uniquely.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I just, just what you just said then gives like a really huge understanding of the collective vibe, because we're constantly tapped into it, but we see ourselves as so separate from it, which is
that is that, and that's what creates the unworthiness, is you see yourself as separate, you see yourself in duality. And when you have the understanding of the one, honestly, that is what got me to be able to have contact experiences, because I kept seeing these higher dimensional beings, extraterrestrials, as higher or better than us, or more advanced and more knowledgeable than us. And I went to somebody to help create this connection in my consciousness of the oneness. There is no separation. So when I realized in my mind that there was no separation between me and this being, then I had a contact experience that same day that I had that click in my consciousness. So when you get to that level where you're not thinking that you're separate or lower than or higher than, you're just part of one consciousness, you'll be able to experience a whole new world.
Yeah, that's so fucking beautiful.
yeah
It's
really exciting, isn't it? Like that it's allowing yourself to be equal.
It's like 5D, isn't it? We're talking 5D. We're talking, there's no duality. There's none of that. There's no right or wrong, up or down, left or right. None of it. It's just you're sitting in the space of nothingness.
Right. And that's like, for me here in Los Angeles, I know a lot of celebrities. I know a lot of people that are very influential, but I don't see them as any different than me. And I think that's why I work with a lot of them. And that's kind of the way I think about this consciousness thing is, if you look at a celebrity, you're like, oh my gosh, like they're so amazing. Like you're separating yourself at this point. You're creating this separation, this duality, this tier that's non-existent. It's created by somebody else and you're just going with it, but in reality, like you're the same, you're part of each other. So if you're just like, get that to click in the human mind, like it changes everything.
And not only that, is you're totally handing your power over.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, you're taking this power away.
It's that powerless feeling again.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I don't want this to end, but we are going to have to end it sooner or later.
Can we just talk a little bit around Mount Shasta? So what drew you to Mount Shasta? What was the experience that took you to this? Because it's a physical place.
Yeah. And I'm already here in Southern California. So that's Northern California. It's like a 9-hour drive for me. So I had a friend who I connected with that's on this path. And she was like, you need to go to Mount Shasta. I just know you need to go. So I went and I had this magical experience. The energy there alone, you can feel it when you're really tapped in and you're sensitive to energy. You can feel the 5th dimensional energy. And I really connected to Lemuria. I had all of these activations occur that brought back memories, that brought back a connection. And I even had an encounter with Adama, who is the high priest of Telos, which is the city under the mountain of Lemurians. And I learned all about this, and then I kept going and going. And now I'm working. I had to go through initiations, like big initiations, to be able to go back there, to be able to work with the mountain's energy, because it's a powerful energy that you have to be very responsible with. And now I get to bring other people there to experience it.
Wow. Is this Sedona? Is this near Sedona?
No, Sedona is another PowerPoint vortex place in Arizona.
Okay.
And in the other direction. So this is like the other way in Northern California.
Wow. Okay.
And so the idea with your retreats is that people go there, they stay with you, they go, there's like it's about tapping into this energy of mastery, self-mastery.
Yeah. So we do a lot of healing work. My partner and I, who I was guided to bring her to Mount Shasta, we really connected in the energy and we decided to do whole retreats together there. So we're both trained in spinal energetics. So we do spinal energetic healing and we do Reiki and we do healing work with people. We bring them to the sacred sites and we let them activate in the energy, get in the water, get the codes from the trees. And we also, one of the very special things that we do is galactic contact. So we do this activation that we are actually launching very soon. It's a method that we were taught and given throughout the years that we're about to launch and give it to the world. But we do that in person, and we see ships, we see UFOs, we have had many contact experiences. So that's something that we do on every retreat. And we do private retreats. We bring people out there privately, or we do it with groups, but we're constantly doing healing work and going to the sacred sites and having these contact experiences.
Oh, amazing.
So amazing. For our listeners, for anyone that we will pop all of this information at the bottom of the podcast. And also, I know you're busting to ask something else. We will pop Gayle's Insta handle and all of that, because all of you people listening are going to want to follow Gayle now, because
you're going to want to go on that retreat.
Yeah. Little gifts of knowledge each day are amazing. Yeah.
So just watching again, so with the energy clearing and things that you were just sharing around, like some of the physical experiences your clients are having are quite visceral, like their whole bodies moving and shifting. Is that, how would you describe that? What's happening in that moment?
Yeah. So a lot of what's happening, some people shake. The shaking and the vibrating is trauma leaving the body. Some people move their spine, and they're just moving with the energy, because you can feel the energy moving in your spine, and you can feel it activating parts of you. And so it just creates this wanting to move the body and help the energy move. So with my first experience, I felt a big opening in the back of my heart, and it just created this movement in my spine, and I just cried, and I released something in my heart that I didn't even know I was holding on to. So it's just a movement with the energy that becomes activated, because we're working with the spine and the energies of, we have energetic spines as well as the physical spine. So we're working with the layers of the energy body, the spine, all of this energy is movement. It's powerful.
Very
so powerful. Yeah.
So beautiful. So amazing.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's like quite a beautiful thing for people to tap into, of like, you know, when they're having different treatments and things like that, what's actually possible to work with within themselves to, I guess, reach that level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, just releasing the density, you know, because sometimes we can be in that loop of having treatments and having it be all about, I'm going to get, like you were saying this morning, I'm going to get healed by this healer, but to have such a, you know, physical.
Yeah, you know what about spinal energetics too is you're not trying to activate the Kundalini, you're actually creating more of an integration of your energy body with your physical body. So it also helps the energy balance out in the body, instead of always trying to raise your energy up. You're integrating more, you're integrating, it's healing more, it's like a deeper healing. So are you guys in Australia? Are you originating? So spinal energetics was created out of Australia. So Dr. Sarah, she does her trainings mostly in Australia there. So she came here to the US and trained us.
Amazing.
What's her name, Sarah? Do you know her surname?
Spinal energetics. So Dr. Sarah Jane is the founder.
Oh.
Isn't it? I love the way these things travel around the world and just, you know, get into the hands of people that are just, so aligned and just share.
It's incredible. Yeah, she gifted this knowledge to share with the world and share it with the right people that are responsible with it and understand that and can also show others the way. So it's been beautiful seeing it all happen.
Oh, that's so amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I love you. I love what you're doing.
Oh, I love you, girls.
It's been so amazing. I know our listeners are going to love and get so much from this sharing today. It was everything and more that I could imagine. And hopefully one day you'll come down under and visit us, and so we can all get to hug you.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much for having me on here, and for everybody who's watching and connecting into this energy. It's such a powerful journey, and having this show, having this podcast to be able to get people connected into the energy together is so powerful. So thank you for having me here and doing so great.
It's a beautiful activation. I feel like we've just gone like but at the same time back into here again in just the most amazing way. Thank you, beautiful soul.
So much.
Bye.
Oh, I hope this doesn't end it. Hang on.